the main point of this session here today, we have an hour, is to really introduce Munevo, get a better understanding of how and why we put these case competitions together, and what we're really hoping that students get out of it. So we're really excited that you can all be here with us today. I am Jordan Levy. I am the founder and executive director of a company called CapSource. Our tagline's experiential learning made easy. We really want schools delivering experiential learning to their students, which for us really revolves around helping students generate reference-worthy work experience from the classroom setting. And that typically revolves around integrating companies into the education process, just like you're going to go through here with Munevo being the host of this case competition. This is a real business with a real challenge, and that's something that's really exciting for all of the students that get to participate and the company. And it's something that we take a lot of pride in building, and we're really glad that you're all with us here today to go through this experience and to really change the future of this incredible organization that is really helping people. There's a quick overview of the agenda, 12 to 12:10, really quick overview of CapSource and IACBE. 12:10 to 12:20 is going to be about the competition. So just the format and the expectations of kind of what to expect. 12:20 to 12:40, we're going to be doing an overview of Munevo and the live business case, which is the U.S. go-to-market strategy for the medical product Munevo Drive. And that's actually going to be provided to us from the founding team over there. So that's really exciting. And then we're going to do a Q&A session for about 15-20 minutes, as much time as we can fit in. The questions will be fielded through the GoToMeeting text chat. So if you do have questions at that time, we'll start queuing them up, and either myself or Munevo team will answer those depending on the question. And then we'll wrap up hopefully right around 1. So without further ado, I would love to get us started by introducing Phyllis Okrepke, who's on the line, currently heading to the airport in Fort Lauderdale. But she has, brought in CapSource a couple of years ago to start helping with the case competitions, and we're really excited to be part of the team.
Hi, Jordan. How are you today?
Doing well, thanks, Phyllis.
Good, and welcome everybody. Thank you for coming to this meeting to kick off this exciting new opportunity for students to get some real-world experience that they can use on their resumes and as they go out and start their careers. As Jordan said, I'm the president of IACBE. I've been with IACBE for about 5.5 years. We are a 23-year-old accrediting organization that accredits business programs at colleges and universities, and that's how we know most of you who are participating in this, is that you're at one of our schools where we accredit the business program. So welcome to everybody. I'd like to go over just a little bit about the competition, kind of some history on it. First of all, we've had 9 years of the case study competition. And I remember the first one, it was held in Kansas City, which is where our headquarters are. And I was at that and one of the judges for that competition. So coming into this year, this is a new competition, but it will be followed in the spring by our annual case study competition. And it's just another part of our commitment to provide opportunities for students. We've got 10 teams, a mixture of both undergraduate and graduate, and from within the U.S., and we have teams participating from outside the U.S., which is very exciting and an opportunity that we really hope to give schools through this virtual competition. As Jordan said, we don't use written cases like in textbooks. Through our partnership with CapSource, they find real companies with real needs, and the students get that opportunity to respond to a real situation and present it just like they would if they were working at the business to the business owners. and then the owners can help us determine what the winning team is. It's not just your faculty evaluating it, but it's real business people. I think that's most of what I need to cover on that slide, Jordan. I think the details about the registration and what students win, unless there's anything else you would like me to cover.
Phyllis, I think that's a great job. I think that's an awesome overview of kind of how we've started to work together. We're really excited to be a part of the IACBE team. These case competitions really get students excited, and they absolutely are a huge part of developing a young professional. And I think that we're really eager to get the ball rolling on this. So thank you so much, Phyllis.
Well, thank you, Jordan, and thank you for doing this.
My pleasure. It's a real honor. Thank you again. So I wanted to quickly kind of introduce myself to add a little bit of context here. Of course, if throughout the competition there are any questions, you can always feel free to connect with me. I'm certainly looking forward to meeting some of you all throughout the competition. I hope to even sit in on some of the web conference sessions next week when you are checking in with the Munevo team. So of course, feel free at any point to contact me, and I'll certainly be able to help. I wanted to give a quick kind of shout out to all the amazing schools that are participating. So there are 7 undergraduate teams participating in this competition for this fall semester. These teams are competing separately of the graduate teams, but the case is actually exactly the same. And so we have 3 graduate teams and 7 undergraduate teams. So we're really excited to see 2 winners announced, and both of those teams are going to be getting $125 gift cards per student, Amazon gift cards. So hopefully you guys can use that for something cool and exciting. I really wanted to talk for just a moment about like what is experiential learning and kind of what's the point of doing an educational engagement like this. It's extremely exciting to get students in touch with real companies solving problems for those companies. I think that that's something that students really need in order to separate themselves when they're entering the workforce, to show that they have some real world experience and they can reference that experience as part of a onboarding discussion, whether it's on a LinkedIn or resume. We've seen students really showcase these types of opportunities directly on their credentials, and I think that's something that we're really proud to see, because it really makes the skills gap something that's actually bridgeable. And we are really excited to have worked with over 40 schools at this point over the last few years, and connected them with close to 150 companies for several hundred different engagements. So there's some real traction here, and we're really excited to be partnering with Munevo for this live business case competition. So I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about what it is. What is a virtual live business case competition? And I kind of broke it down by each word of what it is that we're doing here. So virtual is actually something that's new for this competition. We've done this very similarly in the spring for the last 2 years, and we plan to do it again this coming spring at the ACAM annual conference and assembly meeting through IACBE, which is taking place in Dallas, Texas. This format actually is awesome because it gives us the opportunity to work with schools without the requirement of having them physically travel to be a part of the competition, which could be a little cost prohibitive. What the word live to us means that there's live interaction between you and the company. So this isn't something that is in a textbook that thousands of students across many different classrooms are using. This is something that you're engaged with directly, and we're extremely excited to include that as part of this competition. This is a business that we're working on. It's a social impact enterprise. There are real stakeholders here that have a real challenge for you to wrestle with, and that really comes down to the case, right? We designed this case to be pretty open-ended, but definitely focused on the US market, which we'll talk more about shortly. So the whole purpose here is to generate real outcomes and an ultimately reference-worthy work experience. And of course, this is a competition in the sense that the students are in groups competing with other groups from different schools. There's teams of 4 students from every school, and there's 10 schools participating, so 40 total students. And the judges of this competition will include the company executive team, which you'll meet shortly, academicians from different schools, and other business leaders from our network. So I want to talk a little bit about the competition schedule, just to make sure we're all on the same page. We provided access to the materials on October 30th at 9 a.m. Then the team started to review those materials basically over the last week, and this is the competition kickoff webinar. You'll have 1 week to kind of work through the case and start coming up with your questions for the office hours session, which is taking place on November 11th and 12th. Every team will get 30 minutes with Claudio, who's the CEO and founder of Munevo. There's also surveys that I'm sure you've noticed throughout. The first survey has already been completed. If you haven't, please do so. It really helps us keep track of how the experience is going for the students. There'll be a temperature check survey after the office hour session, and then a final survey at the end of the competition. You'll basically have the rest of that week to finalize your insights, and you're required to submit the final materials by 5 p.m. on November 15th, which is next Friday. The submission is really just an email that has 2 links. One link to a video presentation. It could be hosted on Google Drive, YouTube, or Vimeo. You guys can decide that for yourselves. And then same thing with the written memo. We just need a PDF with a link to it so that we could share it with the judges. The judges will have 10 days to review all 10 submissions and provide feedback, both quantitative and qualitative. I'm sure you've all seen the rubric at this point, but we'll also talk a little bit about that after we wrap up with Munevo. And then we have another one of these webinars actually on November 26th, and that's to announce the winner. So right before Thanksgiving break, we want to make sure that you guys know, the outcomes of this whole experience, and we really hope that you can make that webinar as well, which will also be recorded. So without further ado, I would love to introduce a good friend and an incredible organization, Munevo, and Claudio.
Hi everyone, just making sure you can hear me first.
We can hear you.
Perfect, and then I'll try to share my webcam just to say a quick hi for everyone who's joined on this call. I'm here in the airport, as you can see. So first of all, I'm gonna turn off the camera because then it's probably easier to understand me. But just wanted to say a quick hi to everyone. So also from my side, and also once again, thank you very much for joining this. We're very excited to do this together with the IACBE and CapSource, and also all the students that are joining as a team. My name is Claudio, as Jordan already introduced and already shared a bit about what we're doing. But I kind of wanted to just quickly walk you through the history of Munevo and why we are doing what we're doing. So I'll start right off. Marcus, if you can hear us.
Yeah, I'm Marcus from Munevo, head of operations, so responsible for operations and with a strong focus on the marketing. And I joined the company in 2018 after a project with Claudio, which we did in Israel. And I'm really looking forward to this.
All right, cool. Thank you, Marcus. So, Jordan, if you can go on to the next slide. Yeah. Well, basically a bit about first the history maybe. So we started this project 2015 in university. I was part of a project that was working with smart glasses at that time. And the reason why we started this is because one of my project members at that time, when he was 18, he was working in a home for disabled as a civil servant. And there were a lot of wheelchair users there. So in the university, then we had the crazy idea to kind of connect the glass to the wheelchair and see what can happen. And then at some point, we had to like get our hands on a wheelchair. So we went out, so we talked with a lot of wheelchair users and a lot of dealers. And in the end, we found out about their stories. So all of their personal stories, how they became injured or had the disability. And it was quite sad to see like what kind of like technology they're using right now. But there were also motivating stories where you saw people drawing portraits with their mouth. And that's what helped us to, you know, become more motivated, because as soon as we talked to them and we explained about the idea, they were getting really excited. So fast forward, we developed a solution in university. The way it works is that the glasses can connect to a wheelchair. For that, we need an interface adapter that you can see on the picture, and the glass connects to that adapter via Bluetooth, but it's not a normal Bluetooth connection, it's a secured connection that wouldn't break up even if there are interferences. The product and the solution can basically connect to any type of power wheelchair. And the way it works is that we use head motion detection sensors inside the glasses that can allow us to detect different motions from your head movements. So tilting your head or nodding your head would then be able to drive your wheelchair hands-free, which would initially like help people that want to drive their wheelchair hands-free, but at the same time it helps those people that cannot use their hands anymore. And right now they only have access to mechanical solutions, so they are very big and they cannot be adapted very easily. So that's why this solution is now like on the market. It's a medical product which is already certified in Europe, which means we had to go to extensive testing, documentation, and so on. We even did a clinical trial with the product. So the trial included like testing it with real-time users in the hospital environment, which took us more than half a year to finish that. But we finished everything by end of 2018. And we started the company only before, first of all, we were doing this like during university, but then we were able to get a government funding. So we got a government grant to fully focus on that 100%. So we started the company in 2018. Like I said, we finalized the CE certification as medical product by end of 2018. And since 2019, this product has been already used in Germany, Austria, Switzerland, where it has already got public healthcare reimbursement, which means that people don't pay for it. Actually, it's covered by the healthcare insurance. And we're now launching different other European countries because we already have established operations in Denmark, Norway, Netherlands, Israel, and many more other countries. And now we're actually trying to see how that would work in the US. Okay, we can move to the next slide. Just a picture of one of our users, that's Dirk, who has been trying out our product and is one of our users. And you can already see the difference between something big that is built on top of their wheelchair, and chin controls are usually placed in front of your chin. So there's something in your face that actually obstructs also your face, and it's just not that good for people because it's just very hard to adapt. And then here you can see the glasses that can easily adapt because we have a simple calibration built inside, and then people can calibrate that solution within 20 seconds, which makes it very easy. Let's go to the next slide. So our business model right now is very simple because we work with different medical stores or distributors and wheelchair manufacturers, and we sell a set of Munevo drives. Well, that set now includes the glasses, our application installed on the glasses, and the interface adapter that you saw on the pictures before. All that is sold to these stores and distributors, and they, in the end, you take care of the reimbursement by healthcare. So they work all the documents because as a manufacturer in Germany and in Europe, we're not working directly with the insurance companies yet. That will be something for the future. But as of now, the distributors take care of that, and they are building the bridge between the wheelchair users, the healthcare reimbursement, and us as a manufacturer of the solution. If you go to the next slide, you'll see the different sales channels that we have right now. So The demo channel is when we sell demo units to distributors, which helps us create synergy. So we teach them how to use the product, then they use the demo unit and go to the user and test it by themselves without having us on site. Only if there are like special cases, they would call us and then we will join them on site to test with the user. And then we have the indirect sales that goes to the wheelchair partners. That means that one of the distributor orders a wheelchair with an already set up control system of Munevo Drive. And then we have the direct sales where we directly work together with the distributors and the users. And that's just like the breakdown of our like pricing schedules and pricing channels throughout Germany and Europe. If we go to the next slide, you'll actually see that we, since launch this year, we already made, it should be, I think it's already 100,000 euro in revenue to date. So we actually were able to really make revenue within our first year, which is rather unusual. And we want to launch in the US by 2020. So we're really trying to scale this fast because we already have so many like requests from all around the world, and especially also from the US. Some guys already reached out to us through our website or to social media because they saw videos online and they really liked what they saw. And even now, I just came from an exhibition in Detroit where we presented the solution first time in the US actually. And by chance, there was an actual user there who didn't have any arms, but who was driving a wheelchair with a specially attached joystick for him. But it was kind of annoying for him. So it took us 5 minutes to set it up for his wheelchair, and he tried it out. And I can share that video with you probably after this presentation, so you can see how the user was like really happy to try it out, and will also help us in terms of like helping us spread out the word and so on. But this is just to give you also an outlook for what's coming next. So currently we sold over 20 units around Europe. We have established partnerships with leading wheelchair manufacturers in Europe, but we also have already like contacts in the US to like distributors, but also manufacturers of wheelchair. We have been working together with different government institutions where we got several grants that helped us for our development. And we already got a lot of media coverage to spread the word about Munevo and Munevo Drive. If you go to the next slide, I think that's already a live business case. So just to wrap it up, we're really excited because we really look forward to work with you guys. We have been working with international students all the time. Our team is very diverse. I think we have 5 or 4 different nationalities on the team. And we also do work with people remotely. So we're really experienced when it comes to working together with students and remote work. And we're just hoping to get new insights from new pairs of eyes that have maybe fresh ideas, have maybe also already experienced, and we just want to guide you through this process and to this business case. And in the end, I think both sides will gain valuable experience. US students working with us as a real company that is really scaling up and trying to launch operations in new countries, but us as a company as well, gaining new insights from new perspectives, which has already always helped us in the past and now. So I'm really excited.
Well, that's awesome.
I guess it's sure. Yeah.
That's really awesome. So I think it would be really cool to kind of dive into the case at this point. So do you think you can kind of walk the students through actually what you're expecting of them from the deliverables?
Yeah, very much. So for us right now, it's really becoming more and more interesting. As I said, there are so many people that sorry for that. So the business case would actually just include like how to go to market in the US and what's the strategy for a medical product like Munevo Drive. Because since it is a medical product, we have to take care of certain steps before that. So that would be FDA, Federal Drug Administration, which is the go-to institution when you have a medical product and you want to go through that. But I wouldn't focus too much on that, but more on the second stage. And the second stage of entering the market, the US market, is who to talk to. Who are the main distributors? How many distributors are there? How many people are there that would benefit of using this kind of solution? And then coming forth is like the second stage is the whole aspects of reimbursement and the reimbursement path. In Germany, we do have a reimbursement, which is a case-by-case reimbursement, and there are so-called codes where you can get reimbursement through. So in Germany and Europe, you don't need to have a code, but in the US, I think it's quite different. So understanding that reimbursement path and understanding who are the main stakeholders in the US and who do we need to talk to get this to the user in the end, that would be like the main goal of this business case. So I think in the end, what's the deliverable is the video and the memoir, and that should ideally include like a market analysis of the US with this for this medical product, Munevo Drive, and it should already include the reimbursement path, so how to get this to the user in the end, so that the user doesn't have to pay for it. We already had a lot of people coming to us in Detroit and asking, okay, so how much does it cost? And then as soon as we said, we want this to be reimbursed, and they said, okay, this is going to be a hard challenge in the US, since the US healthcare system is kind of difficult. So understanding all the differences between EU and US would also kind of like be one of the major parts, so that we know, okay, what's so difficult about getting this into reimbursement? What's so difficult of having this for the user reimbursed? That would be one of the main cases I think we should focus on this. And then, yeah, so basically the distribution part, thinking about like who can this be distributed to, who are the major wheelchair manufacturers in the US, and who are the major distributors in the US, and who may be like the best go-to distributor in the beginning for us as a company.
So let's talk a little bit about the materials that they have access to.
Yeah, sure. So I think already on the platform you can access our pitch deck, which contains a great deal of information regarding the product and our business model and where we want to go in the future. We will have a deep dive where I will be with you together in a 30-minute session next week. So you'll be able to ask more questions or ask what in the end you want to work on. And then we already have videos on our website that you can access, but I also will upload the video of the user that I met just now in Detroit, so that you can see how the product is working in real life. But also the video on the website will give you like a great deal of information of how this already has been used and is been used in Europe already. At the same time, we have a one-pager. I think we already shared the one-pager, if I'm not mistaken. If not, I can upload that as well on the platform, and you'll have access to it. But I think the one-pager just summarizes into one page what the pitch deck will also give you insight to.
Awesome, Claudio. That's really helpful, and we're really excited that this is a living and breathing experience, and you'll be adding some new content throughout the next couple of weeks. So definitely keep your eyes on that project charter page that you guys all have access to, and so all of the materials will be uploaded there, especially if there's anything new that's added. I wanted to quickly talk about the deliverables. So there's really two deliverables. The video presentation, which is 10-minute recorded, you can edit that however you'd like. Of course, some folks have experience with iMovie and other types of editing software, so you can feel free to make it spruce up whatever you'd like. And then, of course, 2-page executive memo. And so that can include an appendix, which should be all of the resources that you use to come up with your insights. and it should really summarize the results. Really talk about your process and the ultimate results that you are suggesting to Munevo. If you really take a deep look at the rubric, these are the kind of general categories that we assess across the two different deliverables. Presentation is about argument. Are you making a good argument for the go-to-market strategy? Case and company feasibility is really about, is this an appropriate deliverable and response to the case, and does it really suit the company where they're at in their current business life cycle? They're obviously, a smaller company, earlier stage, limited resources, but exceptional product, and they really need help getting a plan together for the U.S. Strategy. So it's going to be very interesting to see, if you can really help from the case perspective and from the company perspective. I think in addition, there's research and support, structure, professionalism, and creativity are just really key areas that we see as predominantly needed to exceed as a young professional. And so we really we're looking forward to seeing you deliver something that you're really proud of, that's creative, that's professional and structured in nature. Executive memo is very similar, a little bit less. It's less points, less categories, but it's about your argument and are you clear, concise, consistent, and professional. We really want to see a consistency between the presentation and the written memo. So at this point, I would love to open this up for questions. If you have questions about Munevo, obviously we have the Munevo team here today, and I would also be happy to answer any questions about the competition and specifics that have to do with that. But really, the rest of this session, just have a few more slides that we'd like to show you towards the end, but we want to leave this kind of time to get some questions in from you guys, and if possible, if you can do that through the chat, that would be most easy way for us to facilitate the Q&A process. So I'll start off with a first question just to get the ball rolling here. But I guess Claudio, can you kind of help us understand like why the U.S. market is the one that you're most interested in, and kind of how that's different than the DACH region where you're currently operating?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Jordan, for the question. So the reason why we're doing US is very simple. First of all, we got already a lot of requests. Usually when people are reaching out to us, we're very fast in like reacting to their calls, and like for example, a couple of months ago, someone texted us through Facebook from Norway. He saw the video, the website, and then we immediately like jumped on the plane, went there, tested it. But we already like in this process like got in contact with the reimbursement system there and with the wheelchair manufacturer. So it all got us rolling into Norway now. So now for the US, it's kind of the same. We have been getting constant like requests from people, and we're trying to also see how we can move there, but it's kind of like challenging for us because the system is quite different. There's a different reimbursement path potentially. We have to also go to certification, but that's more on our side. So we really need to understand more the market. And at the same time, the US, there's so many people here that we can help. And I think we just need to spread the word more, put a bit more efforts in marketing, and then a lot of people will be able to use that in the end, and it will make them like it will increase their independence. They will become more happy because that's what we get feedback right now from our users in Europe. So I think it's just simple, like people reaching to us, and a lot of people are here in the US that might be able to use it and become more independent with it.
That's super helpful. Thank you so much for the question, for the answer to that question. And we actually got a couple of great questions in, so I'll just go in order. The first question is from Gary, and it says, so thus far the wheelchair is private pay in other countries. they are reimbursed by insurance or government. I guess that's really talking to like how the
Yeah.
actual paying through the wheelchair works.
Yeah, so right now, maybe I'll give you a real life example. I think that was 2 weeks ago where we actually we have now a new user. He's 20 years old. He's studying medicine at one of the universities in Munich, where we're based in, and he got a wheelchair. He got the glasses as control system for the wheelchair, and he also got a robotic arm. So all of that was covered by healthcare insurance, by his healthcare insurance, public healthcare insurance in Germany. So the way it works is that the insurance will then check all the documents that has been sent through by the dealer and distributor that set it up, that tested it with the user, and then the insurance companies will decide if it gets reimbursed or not. And in this case, it got reimbursed 100%, so the user didn't have to pay anything from his pocket.
Awesome. Thank you, Claudia. That's really helpful. Another question came in about the video presentation. So typically the way that we operate with our videos, we use YouTube as the host, and then it's public for all. We will be sharing all the deliverables with all the teams. We want you guys to see what each other have come up with, and then of course we'll need to share it with our judges as well. So however you want to upload it, you can also drop a video into Google Drive and share that link. It's a pretty easy process of being able to view that. So it's up to you how you want to upload the video, but just make sure that it's visible to all parties with that link. And the other question from Stephanie was, what other countries is this product currently available in? You want to talk a little bit about the DACH region and kind of how that works?
Yep. So how it works is that we already have reimbursement in the DACH region in Austria and Germany. In Switzerland, there's one pending. We do, however, already sold demo units, and that's what I mentioned before. When we are working with distributors around Europe, we sell them a demo unit, and we teach them how to use that unit to make tests with the users. And then they go on and about and try to get it reimbursed for their actual users that in the specific country they're working in. So it's already available as a demo unit in Denmark, Norway, Netherlands, Germany, Austria, Switzerland, Israel. And I think France is also going to get the demo unit soon. But these are only like one distributor at a time. So we're trying to find also more distributors that can work with this product. That's our current activities in Europe.
That's super helpful. So another good question from Gary. So I guess, is it the eye movements that control the wheelchair, or is it head movements, or is it both? And is it at all similar to the tool that Stephen Hawking used to use?
Yeah, that's a good question. So it's head movements. People do not control it with the eye movement. There are already products, at least in Germany and the US, it's now becoming more available where you can also control with your eyes. But that solution is really for people that cannot move their head at all. We are a great advocate of people of having people stay active. So as long as they can move a body part, they should move that body part in order to stay active and healthy. The eye control that Stephen Hawking was using was mainly for communication. And the whole system that he had installed on his wheelchair was a 180,000 system sponsored by Intel, which in the end, no reimbursement would have been able to cover because it's just way too much. So our system is 10 times cheaper, if not more, and should be reimbursed then by a healthcare system that will greatly benefit the user if he doesn't have to pay for it.
Thanks, Claudia. So I saw a question come in from Tara Fears. I'm not sure what you mean when you're referring to the 5 objectives and what are the most crucial to know about. So if you can help me better understand your question, that would be helpful. I'm looking at Elm's College question. So they asked about the office hours session, ideally being very early in the morning on the 11th. Do you know how many slots are still available on the office hours session?
Let me check my calendar. So right now, okay, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 slots already been taken. There's one at 6 a.m. From Post University. There's one at 8 a.m. with Amy. There's one at 10 with St. Thomas Aquinas College, and there's one at 11:30 with Sam Inoyo. So I'm not sure which slot you would mean then.
Yeah, so I think at the very minimum, just try to keep your day as open as possible, and then the schools will just have to find a slot that works for them and you. But we obviously really appreciate that you're willing to speak with each team. So hopefully Elms College will be able to find the time that works for them. But at this point, all of whatever you have available is up there, right?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So the next question is, do you have US patents? What are the barriers from competitors copying your product?
Yeah, so regarding IP, we already are in the national phase. So we have a patent here in Germany that went through PCT application, which means that it's a worldwide application. And after PCT, you file for the different countries, and that's where we are right now. So we do have a patent. The barriers for copying our product are basically the patent, but also our trade secrets, like how we did the Bluetooth connection is very much our trade secret. At the same time, we have copyrights, and we also do have the whole regulatory side, which is a huge barrier to entry because lots of companies will have some challenges now coming up, since in Europe at least we will have a regulatory change, and then most of the products that have software inside will require clinical trials and clinical data, which we already have. And most of our documentation is on a very high standard because we do take this very serious, and our software development team has been doing extensive testing with verification and validation methods and tools to test the software. So we're very much on a high standard. So a lot of manufacturers will not be able to reach that standard quite easily, and not be able to do a clinical trial so easy than us.
That's great. So can you help us understand if you've reached out to any kind of US media sources? Have you done any type of PR?
So far we haven't been done any PR. The only PR that we did is right now this last week in Detroit, where we were invited by Forbes to have this exhibition. And then other than that, we didn't reach out to any press companies or to any magazines in the US. I do think that there are a couple. I am signed up, I think, to one of the newsletters of UnitedSpinal.org. So ideally we would want to reach out to them first, but I think there are many more that are specific, to different diseases or injuries like spinal cord injury, but also muscular diseases like ALS, muscular dystrophy, cerebral palsy, and all of these diseases that would inquire that at some point they would need a special control system for their wheelchair.
Gotcha. Another good question. So have you had to work with someone who already wears corrective eyeglasses? How does the product work if you actually already are wearing reading or distance glasses?
Yeah, so for that case, we have two frames already that can be attached to the pod on the right side. So we just clip off the steel frame and clip on the frame for corrective lenses, and then you can integrate your corrective lenses through your optic dealer that can just put in your correct lenses inside those frames. So there's currently two frames that we can use. There's a gray one and a dark brown one. We're working to see if we can find a different attachment so that it can work with your specific glass. But in case if you have corrective lenses, we have this solution right now where we have the two frames specifically for corrective lenses.
That's really helpful. And another product question here from Amy. So she asked, should the presentation encompass marketing all three components in the US, the wheelchair, robotic arm, and glasses, or focus primarily on the smart glasses. I think the whole product is the chair, the glasses, and the robotic arm, right? It's all one product.
Sorry, no. So we don't sell the wheelchair. We just really sell the control system, which connects to any type of power wheelchair. The robotic arm is just an add-on from us that we developed and that has already been reimbursed. But the focus should ideally be just on the driving solution, Munevo Drive, that can connect to any type of power wheelchair. Hope that clarifies it more.
Yeah, so we had a question come in about the specific scope that they're working on. So Tara mentioned that there's 5 objectives and just wants you to kind of help understand which one of those objectives you're most primarily focused on. So I'm guessing that she's referring to these 5. Do you want to share a little bit more about like kind of why these are the areas that you want the students to analyze?
Yeah, sure. So the first point is basically really understanding the market and the size. So how many people there are and how many people we can help with Munevo Drive. That's, I think, the focus shouldn't be so much on that because this is a straightforward question and you can find out, I think, quite easily the numbers in there. That's more of a research point. The key foundations and institutions are really interesting for us because we usually tend to work with these institutions very much. We had in Germany 3 foundations that helped us also develop the solution together with them. So we always want to be in touch with these foundations and institutions. This is, again, I think, really just the research activity where you should not spend a lot of time on it. I think the most important ones are the 3rd, 4th, and 5th point, which is then to really understand, okay, who are the key hospitals in the US? Because in Germany, for example, we have 16 key hospitals that are specialized in accidents and in accidents which incur then with spinal cord injuries. So they have been able to really, move forward faster in terms of innovation. The barriers there to entry are quite easier for us. So that's why this is a really important point for us. And then the 4th point is then really the assessment, what we talked about like who are the relevant distributors and what can we do in terms of working with them together. Is there like one big distributor or is there like multiple distributors? Which are the most experienced distributors? That would be really interesting for us to understand because it can give us a head start as soon as we start operations in the US to go there, to talk to them, and to already then establish connections and contracts with these distributors. And the 5th point is really the bonus points, which would be really to understand the reimbursement path, because that's kind of a bigger challenge. So anyone who found out or like worked on the other points before and found out the great results and still has some time left, this would be ideally really like what makes your result in the end outstanding, to let us understand more the healthcare market in the US and understand how well and how we can get this reimbursed for the users. Because ideally this is the greatest benefit for the user if he doesn't have to pay for it in the end.
Really, really helpful, Claudio. Another good question from Kelly. What would be the cost to a consumer in the US today if they wanted to buy your product without going through their insurance?
Oh, well, that's a tough one because we've been asked this a couple of times already now during the exhibition, and we still have to figure that out. I can't give you a definite answer right now. I think what we like to do is we always like to work with distributors because what's important is the service part. So, for example, if the user has any problem and there's something wrong with the cable connection, then there should be someone in like 1 hour or 2 hour distance to drive there and check the cable connection. If there's something wrong with our software, we can check that remotely. That's not our challenge, but it's more the challenge of the user having access to someone in his close area. So for that, we need to talk to the distributor. If some user would like to pay this privately, how would be the parts between Munevo and the distributor in the end? So we haven't been able to identify distributors and talk about that with them. because then I can give you a more definite answer.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Claudio. So we have time for just about a couple more questions. We had an interesting one that came in, kind of a macro idea. Like, what is kind of, how do you look at the U.S. market? Like, what do you think the limitations are to entering the U.S. markets and the barriers to entry? Can you talk about some of that?
Yeah, sure. I think the limitations are different regulatory paths. So in the European Union, we have the CE mark for medical products. In the US, you have the FDA clearance, either to 510K or a class 1 medical product exempt. At the same time, I get to the feeling now from the first exhibition that the reimbursement path will be a bit difficult, but we don't know. We have to try it out. And basically doing business in the United States, of course, I think there's a different mentality. I did live for half a year in San Diego where I studied, so I kind of understand it a bit, but still I think we need people on the ground, really local people here, and we already have 2 therapists that want to work with us, and we also have a sales manager that would maybe also initiate the whole sales process in the US. So I guess having local people who understand the business market here is really important for us. Yeah, that would be the main thing.
Awesome. All right, so it looks like there are no other questions from the participants, but I would like to ask one more question of you, Claudio, before we wrap up here. What do you think is going to make the difference between a good submission and a great submission? What are you really looking for that's really going to separate the best teams from the other teams?
Yeah, so I think that the points should be quite clear, and then the bonus point, like we mentioned before, is really like understanding the reimbursement path. That would be really like the bonus that highlights like the teams that really like did their job very, very good. And what I like to see in like presentations, just professional presentations. Be careful with your formatting. Take the sources, read the sources carefully where you got your information, and analyze that and try to validate that with 2 or 3 more sources. I think, yeah, just like a clean format and a nice and lean presentation would really benefit the grading in the end.
Awesome. Well, on behalf of all the teams and IACBE and my team at CapSource, I want to thank you guys so much for being with us here today. It's obviously a really exciting launch of a competition, but of course, launch of a greater strategy for the US for you. And so to be a part of that and to bring teams together that can work on this with you, I think is a really excellent, amazing, and exciting opportunity. And we're really grateful to be a part of it. So thank you so much, Claudio, for spending so much time with our students and for giving us a really interesting challenge to work on.
No worries. We're really excited here as well. Like, we're really looking forward to all of the student teams, to the one-on-one sessions, to get to know you better, but also like to finally then see what you guys can come up with, because I think it's really, yeah, it's an exciting opportunity, like I said, for both sides. I think there's a lot of room to grow and to see what the future holds. So we're excited. Thank you very much for doing this.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. And just to kind of wrap it up here, I wanted to mention that we officially launched registration for the IACBE ACAM annual live business case competition, which is happening in person at the IACBE annual conference, which is occurring at the end of March in Dallas, Texas. So we highly encourage all of our teams to register for that as well. To make it even easier and more exciting for you guys, we're providing discounts to all the teams. So $100 off registration if you participated in the fall virtual, and $500 discount for the winning team. Actually, both winning teams. So there's 2 winning teams, one for the graduate and one for the undergraduate, and we'll be doing the same at the annual conference as well. Also, there's an early bird special through December 31st. So if you register before the end of the year, you actually get $200 off of registration. So we highly recommend that you participate in this incredible opportunity. It's very similar. It'll be a live business case and some professional development sessions for the students. So hopefully you guys can be there with us. Obviously, we love the live business case model and the opportunity to bring real companies and integrate them into your learning. And we'll be doing it again at the annual conference in Dallas. I wanted to thank again IACBE for the opportunity to work with an incredible brand that's focused on student outcomes and really coaching schools to be better educators. And I think our methodology, our model of experiential learning fits really neatly into their framework and to their values. And we are so grateful to be part of that team. As I mentioned, also the Munevo team, I think Claudio has built quite an incredible brand and an incredible product. And so there's clearly a social impact component here to keep in mind. And we really are super excited about this competition. And a quick shout out to my team as well. This wouldn't be possible without all of the engineers that built the software and all of the marketing folks that got the teams together and our operations folks that are making this happen. So I wanted to give one kind of final send-off here to all the teams. We wish you guys the best of luck. We are so proud and excited to be working with all of you and to be in a position to provide you with this experience. At the end of this, you'll walk away having really made a difference in people's lives. And I think that's where business is really is used as a force for good. And I think that this is really through and through a beautiful opportunity for students to really get out there, think about problem solving in a whole authentic and detailed way. So of course, as I mentioned, we're always accessible. If you have any questions, please don't reach out to the Munevo team other than designated office hours sessions. The design for that is to just give everyone equal access. Everyone has the same materials and the same opportunities to connect with the company. You can of course reach out to your own network. You can reach out to your faculty and use school resources, but please don't reach out to the Munevo team. And other than that, I think we have a very fair, exciting, and intentional case competition that we have successfully launched here. So without further ado, I'll wrap it up there and thank all of you guys for giving us your time this afternoon. And we look forward to seeing the results next week.
Thanks, Jordan. We're really excited. Good luck to all the teams. Really looking forward to working with you guys.
Thanks again, Claudio. All right, I think that wraps up our session here today, right at noon on time. So thank you all so much for being active participants, asking great questions, and we look forward to a successful competition.
And from IACBE, good luck to everybody.
Thanks, Phyllis.